Hello, and welcome to the Global Home Improvement Network, and to this, my fourth interview in the series Meet the CEOs of the leading home improvement companies from around the world. My name is John Herbert, and I am the General Secretary of the EDRA, the European DIY Retail Association, and of GIN, the Global Home Improvement Network. I would now like to welcome, both associations have altogether 215 members from all around the world, operating 32,000 stores and members' sales of approximately 320 billion euro. I would like to welcome all the EDRA and GIN members from wherever you may be, and also to our partner association, the HEMA, the Home Improvement Manufacturers Association, who have also now global members. I would also like to welcome the delegates who have already registered for the Global DIY Summit in Copenhagen next year. So now we come to my interview partner. I am delighted to introduce you to Michael Schneider, the Group Managing Director of Bunnings in Australia, which for me is one of the most successful and most profitable companies in the whole of the world. I would love to tell you a lot more about the Bunnings, but I'm sure Mike can do that much better. So Mike, if you introduce yourself and a little bit, please, about Bunnings. Thank you.
Thanks, John, and hi everyone. It's a great opportunity to catch up before Christmas, and thanks for the opportunity. And I very much look forward to being with you all in Copenhagen next year. Vaccines and travel permits willing, it'll be good to be together with people. For those that have not familiar with our brand, Bunnings is a home improvement retailer that operates in the Australian and New Zealand markets. We have 384 trading locations across Australia and New Zealand, and they include large format warehouses, small format hardware stores, a number of trade centres, and a small number of manufacturing sites that manufacture frames and trusses for residential dwellings. And we're privileged to lead a team of close to 55,000 team members across Australia and New Zealand. Our earnings in the financial year ending June 30 this year was revenue of 15 billion and earnings of 1.8 billion Australian dollars, with a return on capital just over 60%. So a strong performing business in a very competitive market, quite remote to many of our colleagues around the world, but certainly very, very keen students of global best practice. And as you know, John, we've always invested in traveling when we can, to learn from others and to share ideas and thoughts and to continue to build our business so that we create jobs for the team members that work with us and provide inspiration, information, and innovation for our customers, from everything from the front gate of their home to the back fence of their home, and hopefully everything in between. So really looking forward to our conversation this morning, your time, and this evening, our time.
Yeah, very early in the morning. Here it's 8 o'clock, and I think we do it at 6 o'clock in the evening or in the afternoon. But really, Mike, amazing results when I think about it. And I worked it out this morning. I don't think there's any home improvement company in the world that does so much sales in the country as you do. I worked it out this morning that if you were in America with the same sales you've got now to your population, you'd be doing 125 billion a year. And so I can't think of any home improvement company anywhere in the world that is doing so much turnover sales as you are doing. But I'm not surprised. I visited you 3 times while I've been doing this job. And I've always been amazed at your very, very strong culture, almost religion-like, of your 3 pillars, that you have the lowest price, the widest range, and the best service. And it's not just a philosophy, all your people live it. So, I've been very, very impressed with that.
Thanks, John.
But Mike, I was looking this morning at the infections rate in Australia. I thought there'd been a printing error because it's very, very low. What is the situation with the pandemic at the moment in Australia, and how is it really affecting your business?
It's certainly been a very interesting 2020, John. We're in a very fortunate position as we head into summer and Christmas in Australia that community transmission of COVID-19 is almost zero. There is 1 case in one region of Australia at the moment, no active cases in the community in New Zealand either. Our international borders are sadly closed to international travel, and Australians aren't allowed to travel outside the country. So, in terms of our domestic economy, that means there's 1 million more Australians in Australia this Christmas than would normally be the case. There are a variety of restrictions across the different jurisdictions in which we operate. So Bunnings operates across 9 jurisdictions. The way that Australia's federation is structured, there are a number of states and territories, the federal government in Australia, and obviously the federal government in New Zealand as well. And each of those organisations has different policy settings focused on social or physical distancing, sensible controls and measures, everything from face masks and screens and spacing in store, and capping the number of customers in store to make sure that we can minimise the risk to our team members, the risk to the community of what's a very infectious disease. But having endured personally 3 months of quite a severe lockdown in Melbourne, in Australia, we're very excited to be finding our freedoms again, enjoying our summer, enjoying time with our family and friends. And I think for our business, many Australians and New Zealanders will have Christmas at home. Leisure sales, barbecue sales, gardening sales remain strong. That's in part this social trend to spending more time at home, but also the fact that there's natural seasonal lifts, as we all understand, that happen in spring and summer, across all our markets around the world.
So, I mean, when I looked at your results, your annual results, I think they go to the 30th of June. You were up about 14.7% on last year. Is this going to? I know you're a public company, so what have you told your shareholders about this year? How do you think it's going to turn out this year? Your sales.
It's certainly a very interesting year. We had our parent company, Wesfarmers, had their annual general meeting in November, John, and we spoke to the market at that time about the fact that the sort of sales momentum we saw in the fourth quarter of financial year 20 had carried into the first quarter of financial year 21. There's obviously the natural lifts in volume you see with spring and summer. For us, our natural sales lift starts in September with Father's Day celebrated in September in Australia and New Zealand. That then leads into spring, which leads into summer and Christmas and the entertainment season. So there's naturally strong sales. Obviously, as we sort of head into 2021, we will run into the sales lifts we saw late March when the Australian borders and the New Zealand borders were closed. And we saw that natural lift in sales as people started to do more things at home, preparing home classrooms and home offices. So the fourth quarter for us in FY21 will be an interesting one. But we're certainly, seeing a very strong connection from our customers with their homes. And it's been nice to see new DIY skills being learnt by our customers and old skills being rekindled. And I think it's been a really positive thing for our business and home improvement and hardware businesses in Australia in general. As I said earlier, it's a very competitive market. We've got good, strong competition. And I think it is really an opportunity to sort of be connecting and engaging with our customers to help them undertake different projects around the home, to stay active, to stay safe, and enjoy Christmas when it comes in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, coming back to the pandemic again, we in Germany and in Europe, we also suffer a little bit that people are rebelling against this lockdown and what have you. And I heard this morning it's the highest death rate that we've ever had in Germany. Almost 1,000 people died in the last 24 hours. So it really is a very, very difficult situation. Is that the same in Australia? Do you have the elements, or are people towing the line? I know in Asia, people really keep to the rules as much as possible. Is that the same in Australia, or have you also got this rebellion a bit?
During the extended lockdown in Melbourne, it was certainly evident that the community was starting to become very tired of the long-standing restrictions. They've now been eased. I think that there's a genuine belief within the Australian and New Zealand community that we're in this together. We want to make sure that we keep each other safe. So there's been a generally positive response to restrictions that governments have imposed. I think, however, if we were to yo-yo in and out of restrictions, that goodwill would quickly erode, and I think you would find communities really starting to push back on the restrictions. And I think globally, hopefully the vaccines that are being developed will work and they will deliver the outcomes we want. But beyond that, we're going to need to find the appropriate middle ground that keeps people safe but allows the economy and our lives to move forward, because Isolation, having lived through 3 months of it, is a real challenge. It's a challenge to operate a business. It's a challenge to be a parent. It's a challenge to be a member of the community. So, our hope for Australia and New Zealand is that we've done the hard yards with our lockdowns, and we're now in a position where we can manage sensibly going forward. Notwithstanding wanting to keep the community safe, and in particular the team members who work for us and the customers who shop in our stores.
We managed as EDRA to persuade the people in Brussels, where all the decisions are made, that the home improvement was indeed essential retail, and this was a great benefit. But now, with effect from today, in fact, the whole of Germany is locked down, including, unfortunately, home improvement stores, although they are still being able to do click and collect. Coming back to the way, first of all, I'd like to say that, and I say this in every interview almost, but I think the home improvement companies were exemplary in how they managed this COVID-19, the safety of their associates, their customers, the way they responded very, very quickly. And people are locked down in their homes, so they really need to be able to purchase products that can improve their home. But Mike, how did your associates respond to the pandemic? Do you have problems, people coming into work or people refusing to come into work? How was the situation?
Yeah, it's a great question and such an important one. From the outset, the two things that we focused on were to be able to keep our team members safe and to stay open for the customers that needed us. Across Australia and New Zealand, through all of the lockdowns, our business was allowed to trade, at times restricted to the trade or professional customer only, and the rest being online. And in other jurisdictions, we were able to be open for all customers. We listened very carefully to our team. We run an enterprise, an internal communication platform called Workplace. It's a product that Facebook have developed. We've got 44,000 of our 55,000 team members that use Workplace. And that was really important for us to be able to communicate to our team members what we were doing, what government advice we were following, how we were working and engaging with government. And they were able to share with us their concerns and fears. And I think very naturally, particularly in the early stages of COVID, there was an enormous degree of anxiety from our team about, is it safe to come to work? Am I going to catch COVID at work? What if I can't work? Are you going to look after me financially? And as we worked our way through those, we actually have significantly deepened the engagement with our team. You touched earlier, John, on the strong culture. I think it's sometimes easy, if you don't understand our business and you're a casual observer of the business, to sort of see it as something that's not genuine. It's incredibly genuine for us, the connection we want to have with our team, and we work really hard to have a strong and trusted relationship, and that bears out in the number of team members who choose to stay at Bunnings for very long periods of time. Our labour turnover is less than 10% of our permanent team. And pleasingly, in 2020, we've been able to employ 8,000 more Australians and New Zealanders who've lost jobs in industries like airlines and hospitality and tourism, and actually give them the opportunity to earn an income and provide for their families, and do so in a safe way. So certainly anxiety at the start, John, but now a really strong understanding and trust that we're doing the right things, and we continue to listen and innovate on things that we do in the safety space for our team, so that they really do understand that we're supporting and caring of them, both physically but also psychologically.
Yeah, one of the guiding principles for me during my career was Peter Drucker in the Principles and Practice of Management. And when I see your organization, I remember in Cologne, I saw PJ, the icon who really did so much for Bunnings over the years, give a presentation. And it came over so passionately. And then when I saw the people, and you used the words like, it was a strong culture of integrity, respect, teamwork, innovation. And they weren't just floskels. And I've had the pleasure, as you know, of welcoming your high potential manager for about 8 years. Rarely have I seen such enthusiastic, committed people. Or when I go to the trade fairs in Las Vegas, the first people on the trade fair are Bunnings. The last people there are the Bunnings people, the Bunnings buyers, just looking for that one item that can make the difference. So how have you managed to create this culture and keep it going to that level that I've experienced?
I think there's a few different things. I think, first and foremostly, we take our business very, very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. So we work hard to be authentic leaders, to be genuine, committed. We look to be helpful in developing careers for people. We work hard to be honest. We're far from perfect. We make mistakes as a business and as individuals and leaders. And I think that's something that's a reality for all leaders, but we seek to learn from those mistakes. We want to continue to innovate. We want to encourage our team members to have a go at different things, whether it's, doing their own DIY projects so they're learning about our products, going to training programs or investing in their career. And, over time, that investment in career, which has led to many study tours in Europe with you, John. And I know that, I really enjoyed the year that I did that with you in France, Germany, and the UK. They are all things that create a broader perspective. Australia is a really long way, from pretty much everywhere else in the world, and we are, as best we can, students of global best practice. Home Depot, Kingfisher, Leroy Merlin, Sodimac, Hornbach, Bauhaus, the list goes on. And we've been very fortunate to meet many leaders from those businesses and learn from them. And we look forward to picking up on that again when we're able to travel again, hopefully next year.
Yeah, but remarkably, I've not found a trace of arrogance by your people. Great sales, 50,000 employees, very profitable, always looking and always searching. I think it's quite remarkable. And if you hear of a new concept, you go and you look at it, you see it. And I see the people here working day and night just to try to find, putting their story together, having you send all these people over. So it's been quite remarkable, the way that your people have responded to this situation altogether. Would you say, just rounding it up on the pandemic, that we believe the people in Europe they've found their homes again? They've been locked in their homes. It's been discovered, and this could be a bit of a mega trend going forward, that maybe sales will not drop back like some people think they will be, because people have discovered their home. What is your views on this?
Yeah, I think it's certainly the case that people have learnt new DIY skills. They've become confident with products that perhaps they hadn't been confident with before. They've undertaken projects they haven't undertaken before. Governments and leaders have told us home is the safest place you can be. Home is the place where you're least likely to catch COVID, and creating a safe space in your home, whether it's a home office or a home classroom. In Australia, school children were homeschooled for many months in many parts of the country. And for many of us, we've been working at home pretty much since the end of March. So all those things have really reoriented the relationship with the home. We undertook some research this year that demonstrated clearly that doing things around the home, and it doesn't have to be home improvement. It could be cooking, it could be painting, it could be craft. But being active at home has very positive benefits for your physical health, but also, and more importantly, your mental health. And I think at a time in the world where it's very stressful, doing things that keep you active in mind and body is important. And I do think there's been a reconnection with the home and a reconnection with DIY skills. And, I certainly am very hopeful that sort of shift in behavior will continue well into the years ahead, and that reconnection will be something that we look back on a few years from now and go, this was a really important turning point for our industry, and a very exciting one as well.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. And I think we're in a wonderful industry that we're helping people to improve our homes. And this is obviously the main thing that we in our organization do, by sharing of information that people can learn from each other. The other thing is, it's not only sales and profit and everything, but again, and maybe I'm praising Bunnings, but I really think that Bunnings is doing a fantastic job. And I would advise any people watching today to look at your website. I think you've got a very good website, an excellent website. And then I found your community report card. There were 15 pages of it. I was amazed at how many projects and what people, it seems to be part of your culture to help the community. Can you explain that a little bit more, and how you keep this going to the extent that you do? And I know this year you've already, I think, spent 45 million Australian dollars helping people. So, and I know you personally are very, very committed to this.
It is such an important part of who we are. I think the thing that I like when customers talk about our businesses, they always ask us what store we work in or what's our local store. There's a real sense of our stores are very connected to our communities. We put dedicated resources into our stores to work with community groups, whether it's schools or preschools or universities or sporting teams or whatever it is. They work very hard to build very strong connections with the community. We do activities in our stores to assist community groups. We go out to nursing homes and schools and medical facilities to do community work. And we've obviously got a community barbecue we run each week across all of our stores, which is used to raise money for small community organisations. For me, there's a real sense of paying forward the good fortunes that we have in having a job and having a successful business. But it also really ties our team members to their local communities. Our team members live where our local stores are. They send their kids to the local schools. They raise their families in their local communities. They play sport in their local communities. They go to church in their local communities. So, there's this real sense with our business that we try and bring the community into our stores, and our stores take them out into the community. And it's such an important part. And I think there's a very positive feel-good reaction that comes from that. It's very much understood, and we don't advertise the work we do. We do summarise it in a report card once a year, which is part of our corporate governance framework for reporting to the market on all things that the business is doing. But we don't do it to win awards, and we don't do it to be written about in the media. We do it because it's fundamentally the right thing to do, and that's long been a part of the Bunnings DNA. And certainly on my watch as CEO, I will continue to do everything I can to foster that culture. And I think it has a really positive benefit for our team. It has an incredibly positive benefit for the community, and it's fundamentally the right thing to do, John.
Indeed. In fact, I follow you on social media, and you yourself are very committed. Is there a reason? I mean, I know a lot of CEOs, but rarely have I met somebody who is so committed to the cause of helping others. Has this got a reason in your background, or is it just through your life experience?
It's probably a little bit of both. People have given me enormous opportunities over the years. I'm doing this job because people invested in me and took a chance on me to do something different and to lead the business, and I'm eternally grateful for that. And I also am as we all are a byproduct of our upbringing, and my family relied very much on community support when I was growing up. I had a very unwell parent, and my parents there before weren't able to work. So you are relying on the community. So it is. And the thing that I'm very conscious of is that in life, business leaders, more often than not are quite lucky with some of the things that they get to do, the experiences they get to participate in, and to create those experiences for other people, I think is a really nice thing to do. And again, it's done because it's the right thing to do. It's not done to sort of be recognised for it. But it is important to me. And as a parent of two young men, I think it's an important element to be a positive role model for the next generation as well.
But don't you think this is really genuine and really part of your culture, that this comes back to people say, I'll go to that shop because I like the store, it's got a good standing, it helps towards the total image of the store, I think, and helps bottom line, although this is not the reason you do it. Would you agree? I think it's certainly not the reason we do it. I think, as I said, we do it because it's doing, if your strategy is doing the right thing, your culture is doing it the right way, there's a subtle difference between that. I think, we want our customers to connect with our stores, and we want our teams to feel part of the communities in which they work. And I think through COVID, with so many businesses closed in Australia, travel cancelled, even inside Australia, you couldn't travel between different states at different points in time. A trip to Bunnings was probably one of the most normal things that you could do. And I think that sense of belonging and connection and a safe place to go, has played a very important role for our community in the last 12 months. Mm-hmm. To any of our viewers who are watching this live interview today, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask Mike Schneider, please let us know on the chat, and we'll get down and look at those as well. So coming back to this great area of corporate social responsibility. It's not just the community where you're doing, but what else are you doing on the climate change? What are you doing about energy, water saving and everything? People saw the film beforehand in your store, I think, and they could see the big water. So what are you doing on the corporate social responsibility side, Mike?
I think that's the sustainable environment and addressing climate change are incredibly important. Just as important is, addressing issues around modern slavery and ethical sourcing. All of these things are incredibly important to us, and they align very strongly with our values. In areas such as energy, we've made a commitment with Greenpeace that by 2025, we will be 100%, we'll use 100% renewable energy. That will come through a number of different ways. There will be some purchasing of green energy, but more importantly, we'll be fitting out many of our stores. Australia is an amazing country climatically. We have lots of natural light. So equipping our stores with, solar grids on the roofs of our large stores helps to generate green energy. We're refitting, our stores with the latest technology of LED lighting that reduces the draw of electricity. It reduces the temperature in a store, which obviously reduces the need for air conditioning. All of these things go into thinking about how we can, reduce the footprint that we leave. We're focusing very heavily on recycling, very heavily on packaging. All of these things are incredibly important to us to make sure that as we go forward, we play the role that we need to play as a business, as do all businesses across Australia and New Zealand in, doing things that, make our climate, make our environment better. Not necessarily for our generation, John, but for the generations that follow. And we want a world in which our kids and grandkids are going to be able to grow up and have a bright and positive future, not one that is sort of racked by significant climate events and bushfires and droughts and floods and things like that. And there's a long road to go globally and a lot of work to do, listening to the science, understanding the science. But the things that we are doing are clear, they're measurable, they've got very clear outcomes and actions, and that lines up very much with the philosophy of our parent business also.
Yeah. And indeed on the supply chain as well. I know you're very active on the supply chain to ensure there's no child labour or no modern slavery. I think your team are doing a very good job on that. This is something that I think you also follow very, very much.
Oh, you're absolutely right, John. And it's been a pleasure to sign up to all of the commitments that Edra and Gehin have sought from us in terms of ethical sourcing and modern slavery. And the team that we have here in Australia who do the very important work in this space, are incredibly talented leaders doing amazing work. And it gives us a degree of confidence that we've got systems and processes that help us ensure we are doing the right thing. But again, it's a complex world out there, and with the inability to travel, that creates risk at the moment. But we continue to work hard to do everything we possibly can, to represent the business in the most appropriate light, whether it's selling a product to a customer or sourcing a product from a factory somewhere around the world. Making sure we're doing the right thing is just so incredibly important to us.
Yeah. Mike, another question: with the pandemic, the online sales have been soaring. Look at the Amazon stock price of Amazon. Many of the home centres started very late with online. What is the situation with online with you and in the pandemic? I know you've been doing drive and collect. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we started our online journey way back in 2008 with the website, and the website fundamentally was an online catalogue, so information and inspiration for our customers. And from mid-2018, we started to bring the transactional capability to our website. And by the end of 2019, all of Australia was online for our customers, both from a click and collect and a click and deliver model. And in early 2020, our New Zealand business went online 6 months ahead of when we scheduled. And obviously the focus that COVID brought, really allowed us to think about that. Drive and collect has been an innovation that the business has put in place to create a 100% contactless collection model. We know that our customers, at times were reluctant to come into our stores, or perhaps were elderly and more vulnerable. And we're also, at times uncertain about whether or not they wanted somebody handling their product between the store and their home. So the drive and collect model was developed and has proved enormously popular through COVID. And in fact, in Melbourne, when DIY customers were not allowed to shop, inside our stores, our trade customers were. Drive and collect became an incredibly important part of our offer, and we were processing in Melbourne 35,000 online orders a week across that 12-week period, and most of those were going to drive and collect. We've done millions of online transactions this year, John, millions of transactions. We've had hundreds of thousands of deliveries. And I think the customer experience has been really good. And whilst there's no doubt that from a timing point of view, we are a late starter with online, one of the significant advantages of coming later has been the adoption of very modern software as a service technology. We've not had the legacy systems that we've needed to write off. So, the investments we've made have been important strategic investments, but they've not mired the organization in unnecessary cost. The way I sort of think about it is, a healthy complementary adjacency between the physical network that we continue to develop and make sure we keep current. And I know at the start of this presentation, John, those watching got the opportunity to see one of our newer Sydney warehouses, a store in the inner west of Sydney called Gladesville, a large format store. These are important parts of our network, not only from a customer experience point of view, but also from a fulfillment and last mile logistics point of view. Those 384 trading locations that we have across Australia and New Zealand get us really close to more than 80% of the Australian and New Zealand population. And there's a significant strategic advantage for customers collecting product or having product delivered at home. And we are very mindful of the growth of our physical network. There's certainly no reckless behavior. It's very consistent. It's very measured. Every single development we do must meet very strict investment hurdles. And we are active managers of our portfolio. This year in New Zealand, we closed a number of stores that were no longer strategically aligned to the network that we're developing in New Zealand. We've made similar decisions on a number of stores in Australia as well, so that over time we have stores that open, we have stores that close, we have stores that are replaced, and online's provided a very positive adjacency to that. So, you talked earlier about our strategic pillars being around price, range, and service. We see service expanding to a broader experiential element where customers engage with our brand, perhaps online on the device of their choice. They spend some time in store, they might fulfill their transaction online, they might fulfill it in store, but it does become an anywhere, anytime option for customers. And that's made our business stronger. If you were to think of our business like a car on a racetrack, we've been able to brake sensibly before the corners as they've come up and accelerated out of the corners much more strongly. And, there's always a danger that if you don't do those things properly, you end up with a car hitting a skid pan or having a crash. But the reality is that, we are coming through things like COVID in a much stronger position, stronger from a balance sheet point of view, stronger from a team member point of view. And that balance between online and the balance between the physical network has been fantastic to see.
Yeah. With drive and collect, when your stores were closed, as I mentioned, Germany's gone in a lockdown this morning and all the home centres are closed. And they're all now going to click and collect, drive and collect or whatever. When your stores were closed, can you share with us what percentage of sales, if it's 100% when you do click and collect, I would assess it wouldn't even be 10%. Is that right, or am I wrong? Across the whole pandemic, we had all of our New Zealand stores were closed during the first New Zealand lockdown, and the New Zealand government did not even permit online shopping for any business. So we were closed for 4 weeks in New Zealand. There was, millions of dollars of revenue impact, but, in what was still a strong financial year, we've been able to recover many of those sales in New Zealand. In Australia, we only had 50 stores in Melbourne that were closed, and it was surprising how strong our sales were. We had the trade customer was still allowed to shop in our stores, and our customers could shop the full range of product online and either pick that product up at store or have it delivered. So, during that time, our percentage in those stores was very high for online because that was the only choice. But what we found in each jurisdiction, as the restrictions ease, online sales have gone back to less than 2% of revenue. So, it's still a period in the Australian retail landscape where online, particularly in home improvement, is there as probably a convenience factor, but perhaps, the in-store experience is still very much what our customers are looking for. And I think, given extended periods of lockdown, going to physical retail outlets
has a positive, psychological benefit. You're able to go out, you're able to mingle with other people, you're able to choose products. So I think it'll be another 10 to 12 months before we really see what the online trajectory is. We launch our new platform for our consumer customers in February next year. So we're undertaking a re-platform of our site core online platform that will significantly enhance search functionality for our customers and convenience. But the resilience of the system with the volume of transactions we've had, throughout this year has been remarkable. We have around about 8 million views of our .com.au website, and in proportion the same in New Zealand each week at the moment. So our website is one of the most visited websites in Australia. It's right up there with Amazon and eBay.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Amazon in Australia, or do you have Alibaba, or both?
Predominantly Amazon, a little bit of Alibaba, and Amazon's been growing its presence over time, and they're a strong competitor, and we look and learn from them as best we can, but we seek to differentiate, through the products we sell, the brands we have, the experience that we provide our customers.
Yeah, the general feeling is that Amazon, of course, had a very, very good start, but now that the home improvement companies all over the world, the big ones like yourself, are all going online, the consumer has got confidence and trust in their home centres, and they know that when they buy it, they're buying a quality, safe product at a reasonable price, and if anything goes wrong, they can take it back. So it must be an advantage going forward, and I see a surge in the online sales in home improvement. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair observation, John. I think that customers, the value proposition of your business must be strong. The trust in your products and service must be strong. The convenience of your offer must be strong. And I think we've been watching what our peers around the world have been doing, and obviously conscious of our own investments in our competitors here in Australia. And I do think that that trust in the brand, trust in the products, and the expert advice that goes with those product purchases is an important part. So it does create a level of defense, but Amazon are brilliant at what they do. So you would be foolish to not be watching them very closely.
Indeed. But isn't Bunnings the most trusted brand in the whole of Australia? Been voted many, many years, and not only in the retail, but I think Qantas and the airlines are all in this packing together, and you're the most trusted brand.
Yeah, we've for the last 14 years, Reader's Digest have awarded us the most trusted retail brand. This year, Roy Morgan undertook a survey, and Bunnings came out as the most trusted brand. For us, it's nice that someone is saying that about our brand. There's plenty of people who would look at that and maybe critical about the quality of the survey or whatever. For us, it's nice that might be said, but the reality is I'm not particularly fussed about what's written about us. I'm more focused on delivering on our promises around range, price, and service to our customers. If we are doing those things, if we have a really good offer, and we know we've got a really engaged team, and everything we do is designed to build trust. And, some people like us, some people, will challenge the things we do or have done and be critical of that. But if we do the best we can to build trust, then we're in a position to deliver long-term financial results. And, if you think about Bunnings will be 135 years old next year, and this year's 26 years of the big box format. Across that 2.5 decades, we've delivered consistent growth, and we've delivered consistently in terms of reputation, and that comes from consciously trying to do things that are right, not chasing short-term returns, not trying to be gimmicky, not trying to trick customers, but consistently investing in doing what's right. And at the end of the day, customers shopping in our stores and coming back is the vote of confidence you're looking for, not whether there's been an award or a positive or negative article about your brand.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that if you're the most trusted brand, and everybody I know, if I say, I come from Australia, and I said, Bunnings, well, of course we know Bunnings, and they come with something like sizzly sausages or something. So, it's got an absolute awesome reputation. But Mike, coming back to online sales, how would you see that? Just giving a broad brush. In 5 years' time, you're on a very low level at the moment. I think you said 2%, 2-3%. What do you expect it to be in 5 to 10 years? What would you say would be the percentage of your online sales? And how would you then see the physical stores? You've got 375. Would you still need them?
I think we'll definitely continue to want to have the physical presence. I think, you know, the realities of the products we sell, they're selling into a project that a customer is doing, and you know, being in a store, having the experience, talking to team members, you know, in my view, for the foreseeable future, remains important. However, you know, more customers becoming more familiar with shopping online, so I think there will continue to be a blend between the two, and I think our customers will move between the different channels. If we look at what our peers have done globally, whether it's Depot or Hornbach or B&Q, digital sales or online selling does grow over time as people become more familiar with the process and more comfortable with it. So I'd anticipate over the next decade that will grow. It's hard to speculate on what the percentage will look like. What we really need to make sure of is wherever and whenever a customer wants to shop with us, we provide the best experience we can provide for them. And if we do that, then I think the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, so you see the majority of people I speak to, I know that our president said, Giraldi, and other people I've spoken to, they really believe that the physical stores have got a very, very good future as well, because it's also a fulfillment center. People can click and collect or bring them. They've got a good future, and I think you would support that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, you know, it's important that you therefore continue to invest in the currency of the stores, that they look and present well. Their layouts are as contemporary or modern as they can be, and you're showcasing the newest and widest range. The danger is if you invest in one channel and not another, you do so at your peril, because eventually you will have a confirmation bias that pushes customers towards one channel or another. If you only invest in stores and your web experience is poor, customers will gravitate to the store, but perhaps not shop the brand as much as it could, and vice versa. If you don't invest in your stores and they look poor and tired, they don't showcase the newest range, and your online experience is fantastic, you will migrate your customer to online, and then you end up with a cost problem, because you end up with a network that's not doing what it needs to do. But last mile logistics, showcasing range, showcasing project, access to team members who can provide quality advice, they are things that, you know, I think certainly in the foreseeable future remain an important part of our industry, John.
And always to have the lowest price. I mean, there was always a religion by your company to have the lowest price. Of course, the internet brings challenges with it, of course. Yeah.
And that's why it's a policy in our business. We invest millions of dollars a year in our pricing ecosystem to ensure we scrape websites, check our competitors. We have a price guarantee, so you know, if a customer, you know, does find something that's not competitive, we will match that price. We will beat it by 10%. You know, we have a very broad acceptance of what we will actually honor from a pricing point of view. So we're not as linear as many businesses. Many businesses that have a price guarantee will make you line up an identical item with an identical item. But, you know, if it's a 20-litre bucket and it's a plain plastic bucket with no brand and it's cheaper somewhere else in our market, we'll match that price, or we'll beat that price, because we stand by the price promise that we have in our policy. It is a challenge in the digital age. There's no doubt about that. But, you know, for us, being an EDLP retailer is an important part of brand trust for the Bunnings brand.
Yeah. Mike, we have a question here from Marco Maniero. What is Bunnings' approach to environmental friendly products?
It's a great question, Marco, and thanks for asking it. We continue to move down the path of identifying and sourcing products that are not only ethically sourced and you know, free from things like modern slavery, but obviously, you know, around harmful and dangerous chemicals. We continue to work hard to migrate away from those. You know, last year we moved out of neonicotinoids, which obviously have an impact on bee communities. You know, over time, undoubtedly, we will move away from products such as glyphosate. We range a number of products now that provide a more environmentally friendly alternative to those harsh chemicals, and we'll continue to sort of do that work over time. incredibly committed to sustainably logged timber, FSC accreditation. We move away from any provider who can't certify FSC or PFSC to make sure that the timber we sell, whether it's in an outdoor furniture setting or the timber you're using to build a house or a deck, is sustainable. These things are all very, very important to us because they speak to the trust and reputation that the business has.
Yeah, we have a gremium, as you know, that talking about the environment and the products, and Bunnings are always very, very active in there and playing a key part in this. Got another question from Sam. As you operate throughout Australia and its various climates, do you adjust your offer depending on the store location? He hasn't obviously seen the film that we saw before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more noticeable in areas like green life, but also in timber. So if you think about timber, we have parts of Australia that are plagued, if you like, by termites. So we have specially treated timber that protects timber and houses from termite infestation. Our climate ranges from the tropics in the north of Australia to the desert with Alice Springs. We've got rainforest regions, we've got metropolitan regions, we have parts of Australia and New Zealand that they sort of experience extreme heat in the summer, 40, 45 degrees Celsius, right through to snow-capped mountains in the south of Australia and the South Island of New Zealand, where temperatures drop to well into the minus or negative degrees Celsius. So yeah, we do have to respond. We're a long way from ideal in range localization, and that's one of the things we are working hard on with our investments in data and analytics to be able to more finely tune our range between stores on the coast, stores that are inland, stores that are in tropical environments, and stores that aren't. But they're exciting opportunities for the business to grow and improve in the years ahead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. We've got another question from Ronan. I can't read it. Can you read it for me? Sorry about that, I can't read it. We'll come back to that one. He hasn't written it very clearly. Okay, yeah, so Mike, here we are. This is from Dan. As borders are closed in Australia, have you experienced any supply chain issues?
Yeah, we certainly have. It's been challenging, less so because of borders being closed, more so the dislocation of the global supply chain. Shipping containers are in short supply. There's been some industrial action in our ports, so that's created some challenges. We've worked hard with our suppliers in sharing the pain on air freight where we've needed to. But fortunately, inside Australia, there was free movement of freight, even though domestic borders were closed. So from a freight movement point of view and supply chain point of view within Australia, not so much of a problem, but certainly on a global level, has been hard to access containers and shipping, which I think is an issue for many of us around the world.
You do a lot of sourcing in Australia itself as well?
We do. We get quite a significant proportion of stock locally, not necessarily manufactured stock. We tend to receive manufactured stock from Asia, from India, from Europe, from the States, from Israel, so Middle East. But pretty much all of our green life is grown in Australia and New Zealand. A large proportion of our timber comes from sustainably logged timber in Australia or New Zealand. Paint manufacturer in Australia and New Zealand is a really important part of our offer, and we get fantastic support from Dulux and from PPG on paint manufacturing. A lot of things like garden fertilizers and soils, they're all locally sourced. So yeah, it is a nice balance of global and local sourcing.
Yeah, Mike, as we've said, I've been to Bunnings 3 times. I've seen the results. I've followed the results, and really, it's been almost a perfect situation over many years. And then I heard, and then we saw you went to the UK and you went to Homebase. This wasn't particularly successful, and on hindsight, is there anything you would change about that, or how do you feel about that today?
Yeah, I think with hindsight, we'd have done many things differently. Yeah, I think we asked a lot of some very talented people within our team in moving themselves and their families to the other side of the world and to a different to a different market. I think we missed an opportunity to retain, quite a bit of the expertise that was inside Homebase. I had the privilege of working with many of the Homebase team for 12 months. So I became managing director of Bunnings here in Australia in 2016, and I took the group role mid 2017, as you'd recall, John, and I had the privilege of working with men and women who passionate about Homebase, passionate about home improvement retailing in the UK, and worked really, really hard. And I'll always be proud and grateful for the work they did. I think we brought the success of Australia into the UK market, and probably didn't approach it as a turnaround, which is what it needed to be. We've been a strong, long-term successful business in Australia, and we probably needed some different skills to complement the skills that we were bringing into the UK. I think what Damien McLaughlin and Andy Coleman are doing at Homebase is sensational, and I couldn't be more proud of two friends of mine who are doing enormous work, and I have deep respect for both of those executives and the important work that they're doing in turning the business around. There were challenges, for a business like Wesfarmers to contemplate CVAs was problematic, and we certainly underestimated a number of things and made poor strategic choices. And plenty of people have written and commentated on that. I think there was more we could have done to sort of develop a unique Homebase culture, rather than perhaps bring a culture and try and do a cultural transplant. So yeah, I think, across the board, but it's made our business in Australia better because we've taken those learnings. We've reset our thinking. We've made sure that, if there was hubris within the Bunnings business, there certainly isn't any of that today. And I think that, as we go forward, those learnings will continue to shape us. We've brought back store designs and layouts and categories and ranges from our experience in the UK. And we've remained friends with many of the people who, are running a business really, really well. There are brands like Arlec that are doing a great job. That's a brand that's exclusive here in Australia. I know Azito is still in Homebase to some extent as well. So, it's been an opportunity for some of our suppliers to broaden their supply base into another market and to make acquisitions. I know Dulux made acquisitions in the UK, and they've created growth for our suppliers. So, whilst it's a chapter in our history that we look back on and go, wow, we really would have liked to have done that differently, and it wasn't a good outcome for our shareholders in the short term. Refocusing on Australia, refocusing on New Zealand and growth, both on the consumer side and the commercial side, is paying strong dividends for our shareholders now. And yeah, we took great learnings from it. And as I said, we are far from perfect, and there's plenty in our time in the UK that you'd look back on and go, we could have done it differently. But it doesn't mean people didn't work hard. It doesn't mean people weren't passionate and committed and put themselves and their families under great pressure, being in a different country and on the other side of the world. But where I see Homebase now and where I see Damien and the team taking it, I couldn't be more delighted for them. And we stay in touch to this day, and it's great what they're doing, and I'm really happy for them and proud of them as well, and not surprised because they're very talented. They're very, very, very talented operators.
Well, thank you, Mike, for that. But, history, and I remember Walmart came into Germany, and the biggest company in the world with over 1 million employees. And I thought, good gracious me, it's going to change the world. And, Walmart left after 3 or 4 years, having lost much more than you lost. And this was with all the expertise. And I think the problem there was a little bit of culture. Of course, we were used to that success. And people, you have such a solid reputation in Australia, and of course nobody knew it. But as you say, it's an experience, and I was pleased to hear that you can take a positive side of it. You've learned a lot, and that your own business now in Australia is perhaps better for the experience. So I think that was thank you for explaining that. We've got another question from Terry Coman from Belgium. What is the Bunnings business model to combine B2C with B2 customer with B2 business in relationship to do it together?
It's a great question. We have 800,000 tradespeople who have accounts with Bunnings, and B2B accounts for about 35% of our revenue, and it's an area that we're focusing a lot on for growth. What we've come to learn is that connecting a trade with a consumer customer, a DIY customer, tends to be a one-off point of engagement. You know, once you find a good plumber or a good builder, you tend to stick with that plumber or builder. What we're really working hard to do is understand how we can make tradespeople's lives easier, helping them with quoting, helping them with invoicing, helping them really with small business management. We offer, I think it's about 35 or 40 do-it-for-me installation services, everything from toilets and ceiling fans and hot water systems to air conditioners and taps and things like that. So where it makes sense, you know, for us to connect customers, we do. But the thing that's important to us is that we don't want to compete with our trade customer. So we don't have a services business that competes with our trade customer. But if a retail customer is looking for a tradesperson to work for, all they need to do is contact their local store, and they'll be referred to, you know, trades that operate in the area, and they can get quotes and make a decision for themselves.
Yeah. Is this do-it-for-me business growing as well in Australia with your business?
It's grown a little bit. We've grown it in areas where you really do need a licensed trade to undertake work. So, you know, for people not familiar with the Australian building market, our electricity, for example, is 240 volt electricity. You must have a licensed electrician do electrical work. It's the same for plumbing. You must have a licensed plumber. If you don't, in your insurance policy on your home could be voided. So in areas where a licensed trade is needed, so hot water, air conditioning, those sorts of things, yes, we offer DIFM, but predominantly we focus on being a great B2B supplier to the trade and being a great provider of inspiration, information, education, and product to the DIYer, and connect the two where they need to be connected.
Yeah, and I think Bunnings are doing a very good job with that. And I think, you know, a company like Bunnings and all our other major stores in our group, and the smaller ones, of course, are doing an impeccable service to the community, where the people can go and buy goods for their home, and everything is looking very, very good. Just before I get on to the last 2 or 3 questions, I would like to remind all the viewers that immediately after the interview, you can see this excellent film from Bunnings stores, which we will show immediately once we're closed. So, Mike, you've been a member of the Edridgians since 2010, a very active member, probably one of the most active members, and always looking, always seeking, always trying, always looking for new avenues. What benefits has it brought you, do you think, being a member of this organisation?
I think for Bunnings, John, it's been a relationship that's been incredibly important to us, and I think, as you know, as a board member of Gahin, you know, it's an important opportunity for connection and network with global peers, and you know, I think the support you've provided through the pandemic and connecting CEOs from different businesses to talk about challenges and issues has really brought to the fore the importance of the network that exists across the board. It's also meant that we've been able to participate in study tours. I know that, you know, a number of our colleagues with you in Japan last year, and, you know, we were hoping to be in South Africa, and obviously things get in the way in the US, but, you know, it is that connection, you know, and I think we are a coalition of friends really around the world in terms of, you know, operating in an industry we're all interested in, passionate about, want to see progress and be successful. And I think that deep collaboration is important. And for us, as I touched on earlier, we're a really long way. You know, perhaps us and our colleagues in South Africa are about as far away from the rest of the world as you can be. And that connection to the industry on a global scale is very important to us and deeply valued. And the contribution that we make is our small way of trying to sort of hold up our end of the bargain, if you like, and be positive contributors to the organisation.
It's been so nice to see how people can share their experiences. And I know when you came out with Drive and Collect, you sent that to us, and I think it was very early in March, and we sent that to all the home centres around the world, and we had some very, very positive feedback. So learning from each other, I think the culture that what we want to do, learning from each other, improving people's home, continually trying through the exchange of information, statistics, best practices, etc., to do that. And Mike, we are so delighted that our Global DIY Summit, which is attended by over 1,000 people coming from 50 countries, a really top networking event, and we're delighted to have you next year as our keynote speaker. It was going to be in Amsterdam, but we had to cancel that, and now due to the pandemic, and now we're going to have it in Copenhagen. So let's keep our fingers crossed that works out, and we will be delighted to welcome you. You mentioned the study tour. Every year we do a study tour. As you know, the first one was Japan. It was amazing. Thought it could never have been beaten. Well, it wasn't, but it was equal. But when we went to South Africa, that was a wonderful visit. And next year, we're going to America, back to the roots. We're going to visit, of course, the Home Depot and Lowe's and other companies in America when we're there. So we're looking forward to that. Well, Mike, it's been a delight to speak to you, and I have the highest respect for your company, from your associates. The dedication and what you're doing generally is simply quite amazing. But you're the guest, so I'd like to offer you any last words. How do you see the future post-COVID? Are you optimistic? And what would you like to have the last word in this interview today?
Yeah, thanks, John. I think we are in an interim normal. I don't think we're in a new normal just yet. So I think the future is still there to be written. 2021 will be an interesting year. Vaccines and things like that will be pivotally important for communities all around the world. I really do hope that the trend we've seen, where, as we've talked about today, people have reignited their passion for DIY, continues. And I think, done well, all of our organizations together can help drive that enthusiasm through innovation, through better service, through better information. So, I'm optimistic about the future. It's an exciting time to be in retail. I've been in retail almost all of my career, and from the shop floor to the job I do today, and I love it. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about our team. I'm proud of our team. I'm grateful for the opportunity, John, to be with you today, and it's always lovely to spend time with you. And I've valued the sort of collaboration and friendship we've developed over many years. So all I'd be saying to everyone is, however you celebrate Christmas or the holidays, that you are safe and well, your trade is good, and you are able to trade, and you're able to keep your team and your customers safe. And I very much hope that everyone has a safe and happy 2021. And I am absolutely hopeful and optimistic we can be together in Copenhagen in June. So from down here in Australia, all the very best, and we'll see you soon, John.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mike, and it's been a pleasure to interview you. I've had 64 years working in retailing. It's been a great pleasure. I'm still there, and I enjoy it, and I really very much enjoy the very good contact I have with Bunnings, with you, and in fact with all our Edridge members. So wherever you are in the world, we wish you a very Merry Christmas, and we look forward to seeing you in January for our next CEO's interview. So thank you for watching, and have a good day, good business. Let's only hope that maybe by the end of next year, this time, we're going to forget about COVID-19. Let's hope so. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.